Morning, Trainiacs. I'm pulling a Lionel Sanders this morning and I'm gonna go swim with some kids. I don't expect this to end well. So on that note, today, I think we're gonna take a look at Lionel Sanders' swim stroke, because as far as I can tell, I haven't really ever really analyzed it, but just top of my head, it doesn't look too bad. So then why does he struggle? We'll find out. I'm gonna struggle today. Well, that was a rush. You know those times when you show up at the pool and you're like, well, you know, I'm just gonna go for like a really purposeful, quality swim, nothing too hard, and then 7 minutes later your eyeballs are bleeding? Yeah, that's about what it was like. Let me get home into the confines of the pain cavern and we'll talk Lionel Sanders, because you might have noticed that winter has arrived. All right, so I went into the archives to find a bunch of Lionel Sanders footage swimming. Now, I'm gonna preface all of this with saying Lionel Sanders is, relative to the vast majority of us, relative to me, a phenomenal swimmer. Great swimmer. Also, relative to me, Jerry Rodriguez, the head coach of Tower 26, who Lionel has worked with off and on. Jerry knows way more about swimming than I do. I'm just gonna try to look at as much Lionel Sanders footage as I can to pull out as many things as I can see, which could be right, could be wrong. You make the decision about if they are things that you can learn from. So this is a picture that Lionel posted on his Instagram. On the top, we have September, 14th, 2017. On the bottom, we have December 14th, 2014. And the thing that Lionel pointed out is what I struggle with, and that is his bent elbow. What you really want to see is more of a 90-degree elbow, ideally coming basically straight across the shoulder line and then 90 degrees down from there. Even though Lionel is a little bit away from that, this is showing tremendous progress. Let's fast forward to January 27th, 2018. And we'll take a look at where that bent elbow is, and you can see, boom. Oh, it just looks fantastic right from the shoulder to the elbow, looking great. Coming down, little bit more bend than that 90 degrees. Let's go to the other arm. And again, he's still working on that bent elbow. Everything looks really good there. In his recap video about looking back and analyzing what went wrong and why he didn't swim well in Kona this year, he said at the beginning of 2018, when he was focusing on the Tower 26 workouts and that method, he was swimming at the best he ever had in his life. We want to look at a body line going all the way through his body and think of that kind of like a pig rotating on a spit. That center line coming from your head, through your spine, down, and in between your legs, it should basically just rotate on an axis. And one of the things that I see just a little bit of is there's a little bit of swaying back and forth. There's also a point here that's kind of it right there. And I'm being really nitpicky because, like I say, he's a fantastic swimmer. His body does kind of do a little bit of a bend. Very, very small things. I don't think this is enough to take him from being like a absolutely great swimmer to a terrible swimmer, but just something that I notice. Now let's fast forward to beginning of summer when Talbot Cox started doing videos for Lionel. Head and feet basically in a straight line. Very good. Go forward just a little bit and you can see that the feet have gone off to the side and the head is a little bit that way. Something small, but it's still, I would say, looking at other footage, it's still like a straight line, straight body line, we'll put it that way. But there's a lot of good things here. You look at that, and with Lionel having just one goggle out of the water, you want to take a lesson in how to sight, just that head and nose out of the water, looking forward, and then goggle into the water. Looks very good. Now we're here in just the weeks leading up to Kona. So this shot right here shows an excellent angle of his catch. And that is what gets you propulsive force going forward. And what you always want is from your shoulder to the end of your fingertips. You don't want your elbow to dip down under that line, and you always want your fingertips lower than your elbow is. So with that in mind, look at this, and it's lower, fingertips are lower the entire way. And the other thing here is where you have the back of the head, the butt cheeks, and the heels just coming out of the surface of the water. That means he's not dragging, he's not pushing water like a tugboat. And remember how his arm was bent. It basically a straight 90 going from shoulder all the way through and then down like that. Well, it's not like that. His hand is actually way out to the side on that side. Let's see it on his left arm. You can see that there, instead of, again, that 90-degree elbow bend, he has a very similar to my swim stroke, basically a straight arm pull. Not really at all similar to how his arms were bent when he was doing, as he put it, his best swimming. So now why is this significant to go from straight arm to bent arm, back to straight arm? Well, back when I was a kid, from the time I was about 12 until I was about 16, I golfed kind of competitively. I was on a junior team at a local club. I was never a great golfer, so I went to the range, and before every single round I hit about 4 buckets of balls, but I was constantly working on something. I was constantly playing around with something. I ended up getting down to about a 10 handicap, but it was only because I was hitting so many repetitions of balls. When I started getting busy at the age of 16, I couldn't practice nearly as much, and instantly my rounds went from like 80 to 95 to the point that now I could shoot anywhere between an 80 and 120. And that's because I had worked on so many things for so long that my swing can dial itself in, everything can click, or there are so many ways that my body can move that when the pressure is on, it falls apart because it's not so regularly ingrained in my biomechanics that it's absolutely automatic. And if you're playing around with things too much in a race, the stroke might fall apart. So translating whatever he's working on in the pool might be a little bit harder. So I have a small guess that there is the potential that when he goes into open water, he loses the ability to have really good technique because he's been bouncing back and forth a little bit and not just sticking to any one thing with the swim stroke consistently. Because I don't think it's a lack of work. I don't actually think that he has bad technique. I think he's actually a really good swimmer. I don't think it's a lack of familiarity with open water swimming because he has shown really big open water swims with good times. He has put out good times in races. I think what might just be happening is that there's not one set fallback stroke that is a good quality stroke that he can go to when the pressure's on and when he's at a max level. That's my guess. Now, like I say, Lionel is a much better swimmer than me. Jerry Rodriguez, the coach that he works with, is a much better coach than me. Lionel's technique is great compared to mine. He looks like an absolute pro. Well, he is a pro. But there are just some things that you can take from this. Good aspects of his technique, maybe some aspects of his technique that we should work on, like the bent elbow, like I'm working on. And the biggest thing, trusting in the process and not going back and forth between this thing is what's gonna fix it, now this thing, now this thing, now this thing. If you constantly ingrain the same stroke techniques over and over and over and over, it's gonna get to the point where it doesn't feel like you're making changes, but you have made subtle changes over the course of time, and it's so well ingrained in your biomechanics that when you have to perform under pressure, you can do it. So there you go, Trainiacs. Here is the test that I always use. If you can't yet swim 400 yards or meters without stopping and without feeling out of breath at the end of it, you need to work on the basics of your stroke technique. And for that, we have a free swim program that walks you through 18 drills that start to finish. I guarantee it'll teach you how to swim better. You go to triathlontaren.com/swim drill program. If you already are an awesome swimmer, basically like Lionel is. I'm hedging my bets a lot here because I don't want this to come across super negative. But anyway, if you're a good swimmer and you aren't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button below. Later, Trainiacs.